purposely killing my son? No. Excuse my language, no. I wouldn't do that. I chose not to look for some reason. I just couldn't.
Meet Bianca. She is 21 years old. Sitting in a cold interrogation room, she plays the role of a terrified grieving victim, hoping it will be enough to conceal the truth about her newborn son. But her performance is about to face a brutal reality check.
And then what did you do for that time frame?
Stared at the wall. Probably went on my phone.
So when you're on the Instagram, you said you were just scrolling through?
Yes.
What Bianca does not yet realize is that the medical examiner has already secured her ticket to a prison cell. The ink is drying on an autopsy report that will systematically dismantle every single lie she is about to tell. But how did we get here?
So if we tested the pillows in your room, would we find any of the saliva from you putting it on his face?
Like me forcefully putting it on his face? No. Oh my gosh.
There's what they call cause of death, asphyxia, and then the manner of death is homicide.
What?
It was May 2nd, 2022. First responders rushed into a Florida home following a frantic 911 call. They walked into a scene that defied comprehension. Little baby Aries had passed away just moments after entering the world inside a cramped bedroom. Bianca claimed she went into labor entirely alone. She painted herself as a victim paralyzed by unimaginable shock, insisting that the loss of baby Aries was a devastating medical anomaly. Now, sitting across from a seasoned detective, she casually tries to talk her way out of an irreversible tragedy. She leans heavily into the helpless victim act, but investigators are not guessing about the events of that afternoon. They hold scientific proof, a document that tells the true story of what Aries endured.
So I was living there most of my pregnancy.
Okay.
I was in the beginning. I was, obviously with my mom, and then my mom and I fight like cats and dogs. So I left, moved in with him. That day, sorry, not that day, that night, I have very little memory of. I remember hanging out with him, and then I remember waking up the next day. He told me the next day, "You had 6 seizures last night in your sleep. 3 of them I was here for. 3 of them he went to the hospital because apparently he kicked a bottle, and cut his foot open, went to the hospital, and his mother told him that I had another 3 seizures. I remember waking up and not even remembering who it was. I knew he was a friend of mine before, and then now we are boyfriend and girlfriend, but I had no memory. And so I was talking to him, and he was upset that I didn't remember a lot. And he kept asking me questions over and over. And I was like, I'm sick of this, I'm gonna go home. I remember driving home, knocking on my mom's door, which I never really do. And she kind of just stared at me, just like, because it's happened a lot before. And she just looked at me and was like, go to your room. So I went to my room, and I remember just sitting there, but it seems like hours. And,
Sorry to put you through this.
No, it's I understand. And I remember laying down on my bed, and my phone kept going off. This is before. And I believe Chris had called me. He did call me, sorry. And he was like, are you okay? And I just, for some reason, couldn't fathom what he was saying. And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. What do you mean? And he's like, okay. And he was like, do you remember me? And I was like, I'm sorry, we're friends. I'm at my mom's house. And he was like, okay. Hung up the phone. And, my friends were calling me because Christopher had called my girlfriends and told them that I had, seizures. And they knew I was pregnant. And they were blowing me up, and I just wasn't answering. And I remember getting a cramp, I think, a really sharp pain. And I remember punching the wall behind.
Her first line of defense is a sudden, convenient case of amnesia. She spends the opening minutes laying the groundwork for a medical excuse claiming mysterious nighttime seizures simply wiped her memory clean right before giving birth. A tragic twist of fate. Or so she says. But this selective memory loss completely fails to explain what happens next, because what she chose to do immediately after waking up is nothing short of horrifying.
Honestly, I don't even remember being on the phone with her. Oh my God.
Do you remember her calling them?
Who?
Do you remember her calling and you just remember what you guys talked about?
I remember her saying, "Am I going to bring you tomorrow to be induced?" I don't even remember responding. I remember her just saying, "Okay, I'll be home soon." So this had to be before then, because when she came home, she asked me if I wanted to go out to eat to Denny's IHOP. And I remember she kept asking me over and over. I just kept getting mad because I kept saying yes, and then I just was just sitting there. And then she eventually got frustrated and left the house. After she came back, it had to be night. Sorry, it had to be nighttime. Because she went to sleep to go to work the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And then all what I said happened. I remember her coming home and screaming in my face, "What's going on?" And I was like, "I don't know." I remember her calling the ambulance and then her handing me the phone, and I just literally asked her, "What do I say?" I had no idea what to say while they were on the phone.
It did get warm in here all of a sudden.
She handed me the phone. I was trying to talk and I couldn't. And then I remember her screaming, them asking her if she knew how to perform a CPR. And she kept telling them, I can't do it. I remember sitting on the couch and watching them hook him up to an incubator and walk him to the car.
If you unexpectedly deliver a child in your bedroom, basic human instinct dictates an immediate panicked call to 911. Bianca made no such call. She waited and waited, doing absolutely nothing until her mother returned home hours later. Those missing hours are the exact puzzle pieces the detective needs to lock into place.
She leaves. How long were you feeling cramps yet?
No, sir.
Okay. So she leaves, you go back to lay down?
No, sir. I was laying down
All right.
the entire time.
Were you watching TV? I forget. Do you have the TV in your room? I don't remember.
Yes, sir.
Were you watching TV? Was it on or off?
Off, I believe. I think I was on my phone on Instagram, just scrolling through it.
Okay. And so you said you're laying, your head's up here. This is kind of the headboard, right, where all the pillows are?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. About how long after Mom left did you start feeling cramps?
She left in the morning, maybe the afternoon.
Okay. And how bad was that pain, those cramps? Was it really bad? On a scale of 1 to 10, where were we at?
10.
10. And did they happen for a long time or a short time? You said afternoon, so was it
A short time.
a short time? Okay. And what did you do when you felt those cramps?
Just laid there.
Okay. And when did you punch the wall? Because the wall didn't do anything to you. When did you punch the wall?
When I was pushing.
Okay. When did you start pushing?
I don't know, I was looking
No, I know, but when you said that you felt the cramps, you said it wasn't for a long time. So how long from the time you started feeling the pain of the cramps did you start pushing?
I remember, and then I got up, went to the bathroom, peed, went back to the room, laid there. I remember it kind of felt like I had to like poop.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like sitting there like, you know, like when you have to poop really bad, that cramping. And I was just sitting there like trying like to like hold it in. I remember punching the wall and giving birth.
Start pushing at that point? Okay. So you're holding it, and all of a sudden you punch the wall and start pushing? And how long did the pushing take?
10 minutes.
Okay. And so then was there pain after you pushed, or was it?
There was.
And how long did that pain last after you pushed?
Not long.
Okay, good.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. What were you wearing?
Boxers.
She fully expects the detective to view her as a helpless passenger in her own life. Yet she casually describes her grueling labor as though she merely had an upset stomach. The emotional detachment is chilling. It sets off immediate red flags.
And was he still in your board shorts when he brought it next to you? So how did you get the board shorts off?
I didn't. I just kept them on.
You moved them over?
Yes.
And did you, at some point the board shorts came off because they weren't on you, they were on him at that point. So when did that happen? When did you take your legs out of the board shorts?
I don't remember. I took them off and put them on him.
No, I'm saying you had it, so they were on him and you at the same time. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So how did that work?
I believe I pulled them down.
Okay.
Because it was a lot of fluids coming out, and I grabbed him and I put him on the side of me. And I remember grabbing the umbilical cord with the sack. Like a bunch of fluid came out after I grabbed the sack.
What color was that fluid?
Red.
Okay.
I moved him next to me, and he was just crying.
So then he's sitting there next to you. He's next to your leg or next to yours?
This leg.
Okay, on the right side. And then, did you take your legs out of the underwear?
I don't believe I was wearing underwear.
I'm sorry, the shorts, the boy shorts.
I don't remember. What was the question again?
So at some point you took your legs out of the shorts. Do you know what I'm saying? Because you walked to the shower without him, right? You said you took a shower.
Yes.
So you didn't have him on your side then. So how did the shorts come off of you?
I remember taking them off, and he was laying on the bed by himself.
Leaving a fragile newborn child trapped inside the leg of tightly worn clothing, while fluids pool across a mattress, goes far beyond simple negligence. It is a physical impossibility. The detective sits quietly, nodding, letting her weave a web of utter nonsense, while he takes meticulous mental notes.
I believe I took this leg out and moved it over to this leg. I only had one on.
How come you didn't take both off? How did you get that one off without getting the other one off?
Sorry, I think I just took it off this leg and pulled it back up. Oh, I don't remember.
Okay.
Was he in my boy shorts?
From what I understand, he was in your boy shorts when fire rescue came. When fire rescue came. He was in the boy shorts when fire rescue came. They just cut him off instead of trying to take him off.
Hello? I'm fine. I'm gonna call you when I leave. Bye.
He's just checking up on you. Don't make that face.
I'm not checking up. It's possessive.
Oh.
To see where I am. I'm sorry.
That's okay. We're not in a rush. We got all the time. I told you.
Home.
What's that?
You have to go home.
I work till midnight.
West Palm. Are you serious?
Yeah, I work till midnight. So that's why I told you. I cleared my whole calendar so we can kind of get this done and over with, so we don't have to keep going back and forth, right? So you said you got one leg out.
Yes, sir.
And he's laying here on your side. Is he in this? So he's in the same hole as this leg?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And he's crying, you said, for about 5 or 10 minutes? And you're just doing what?
Staring at the ceiling.
And how long do you think that was? I know you didn't look at the clock, but how long do you think that was?
Hours. It really felt like hours.
Staring blankly at a bedroom ceiling for hours while your newborn son takes his last breaths right beside you is an eerily silent way to handle a medical emergency. The picture she paints is entirely devoid of maternal panic, but the absurdity of her timeline is only just beginning.
He was crying, And I remember him laying next to me, and it was cold. And so I took him out of my boxers and I put him next to me. And for some reason I didn't want to look. And I remember just looking at him and he was just dying. And I went to get up to take a shower. And it was cold and he felt cold, so I pulled the blanket up to his chin.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember feeling like the blood around me and stuff was, getting cold, so I went up and walked and took a shower. And my mom called me. I'm sorry if this doesn't make sense.
It does. It totally does. It totally does. You're okay. So you go in to take the shower, but before that, when you pulled the blanket up to his chin, you said you took the boxers off of you and then moved them next to you?
Yes, sir.
And was he still crying?
No, sir.
Was he doing anything?
No, sir.
Okay. Did you see was he moving at all? Okay.
No.
All right. And so when you moved him from your leg, he had already stopped crying and stopped moving?
Yes.
And then when you came back, did you get clothes out of your room when you came out of the shower?
Out of my dresser, I believe.
And what was he doing then?
Just laying there.
Was he making noise at that point? Did he start making noise?
No, sir, he wasn't making any noise.
A mother prioritizing a hot shower over the life of her newborn baby. It defies all logic. With every casual word she speaks, Bianca is quietly digging her own grave. But what could possibly drive a mother to this level of chilling apathy?
So when he was here, what kind of cry? You said it was like a newborn cry?
Mm-hmm.
Was he like in pain?
No, like when you hear a baby birth on the TV, like a normal cry.
And could you hear him breathing?
No.
Okay.
Couldn't hear him breathe.
So it wasn't making any noise to breathe, like you or I breathe, we don't make noise. So
Right, no, he wasn't making any noise.
Okay. And at some point when he stopped crying, was he still breathing?
I don't know.
Did you feel him moving when he stopped crying, or after he stopped crying?
No, he wasn't moving.
Okay. So the crying and the moving stopped at the same time, or something else?
At the same time?
Okay. And when he stopped crying and stopped moving, what did you think?
Nothing. Literally, my mind was just blank. I had no idea how to react, how to move. It's just the whole process. I don't understand how I couldn't get up.
What were you thinking about?
Nothing, literally.
And then we talked about you were looking to possibly give him up for adoption.
Oh. You mean afterwards? Like after I'd given birth? What I was thinking about?
Well, no. Well, so
Like before
kind of on the way up to it, and then when you gave birth, were you thinking about the fact that you had talked about putting him up for adoption and then not being able to keep him financially or emotionally? I know you talked about not wanting to raise him in the same scenario that you were raised in.
Right, with my brother.
And your mom.
Coming up to it, I was looking to adopt him.
Mm-hmm.
I knew further along into my pregnancy I couldn't do it.
Couldn't do what?
I couldn't give him up. So I stopped responding to those people. I still have their brochures in my room. I just couldn't do it.
A potential motive finally breaches the surface. She casually admits she had previously looked into giving the baby up for adoption. But when the time came, she decided she just could not do it. A glimmer of hope for the child, extinguished by a fatal change of heart.
After you took a shower, I think you were on Instagram for a little bit.
Yes, I'm on Instagram a lot, just aimlessly scrolling.
Did you message anybody while you were on Instagram afterwards?
I don't believe so. Maybe, I don't know.
Let's see. Is there anything else about that day that I didn't ask that you remember to tell me?
I don't believe so.
When he was crying, you said it sounded like a birth cry. Was he in distress at all?
No. like just, like when you hear on TV, just when they first come out, like just a normal cry.
Okay.
Do you have kids?
Mm-hmm.
Like when they're crying in the night.
You said that was about 10 minutes long?
Yes, sir.
And you said it was light out. You saw the light was outside. You couldn't see inside your room because of the curtains?
Mm-hmm. When there's light, you can still see, 'cause, it's obviously darker during the day. I mean, at nighttime, but...
Oh, so you can see around the blinds, that there was light coming through the cracks a little bit?
Yeah.
Now, when you pulled that one down after him being born, did that let more light in?
Yes.
Okay. But you couldn't see his face at that point still?
No.
But when
I chose not to look for some reason. I just couldn't look.
Did you feel him where he was? I mean,
yes.
Okay. And so, was his butt facing this way, or was his butt facing your leg?
His butt was facing my leg, I believe. He was turned towards the wall, towards the other window I had.
And what makes you think that?
I remember getting up and he was like on his side, and I like kind of moved him and adjusted him and picked him up a little bit and put the blanket up to his chin.
Aimlessly scrolling through an Instagram feed while your newborn lies motionless perfectly highlights her absolute lack of urgency. The detective decides it is time to change tactics. He brings in a prop doll. He asks her to physically demonstrate exactly how the baby was positioned. Little does she know this simple demonstration is a physical trap she can never escape.
So, instead of trying to figure this out, like, describe it, this is what we normally use. Do you mind just doing that? Made sure it's a little girl, so. If you can. You want a hug first? I can get you water a little bit if you want. So from the beginning, so he's born in your shorts, and where does he end up?
At first he's down here.
In the middle?
After I gave birth, and he came out like head first.
Okay.
And so I picked him up like that. And I put him here in my shorts, and I took my shorts off. This leg.
Okay.
And I just didn't care anymore. I just left him on this leg.
Yeah.
And then I pulled him upwards to here.
Okay.
He was facing this way.
Just like that?
Yeah.
And he's up against your body, crying. At that point, he's crying here?
Yes.
Okay. And that's when all the pain was gone by then?
No, I was still feeling pain when I was in the hospital.
Oh, okay. And so then he's here, and he stops crying. When does he stop crying? You said it was about 10 minutes, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sorry.
So he's up here. Put him back where he was for me for a sec. So he's up there. You got one leg in the shorts, and he's in the shorts?
Yes.
And he stops crying for about 10 minutes. How long did you stay there after he stopped crying?
In the position?
Yeah, just in that position.
30 minutes.
Okay.
Probably long.
The more she manipulates the doll, the more absurd her narrative becomes. The detective is a master of pacing. He meticulously locks her into a physical timeline, closing every possible exit door before she even realizes she is cornered.
So you laid there for a while.
Yes.
And then what happened after you were laying there for a while?
I went on my phone, stared at the wall. I remember just not being able to talk and just kind of moving like a robot. was next to me. I don't
What did you think when you stopped crying? Did you
nothing at all.
think about why you stopped crying?
No. No, not at all.
No. Okay. So when you're on the Instagram, you said you were just scrolling through,
Yes, sir.
and no messages in particular?
Yes, sir. Not that I remember, honestly.
So you leave him on the bed in the same position to go take a shower?
He was facing the wall when I went to get up and take a shower, and I pulled the blanket up.
Okay. And where was the umbilical cord in the sack?
Just below him.
Bianca assumes she can easily talk her way past the physical logistics, but she entirely forgot about the hard science. The detective casually introduces a fresh toxicology report. It proves she was under the influence of powerful opioids, a massive gaping hole in her innocent medical emergency defense. And things are about to get exponentially worse. The detective has been holding back one critical piece of evidence, a finding that will obliterate her innocent act entirely.
Well, you don't have to choke to be asphyxiated, right? It could be pressure on the chest. If I was to hold you down and you can't bring any more air into your lungs, that can do that. If I squeeze you and I'm strong enough to do it, to keep you from getting lungs air.
Mother's calling me.
You want to answer it? You can. Or you can make it wait. So those are possibilities. So the shorts could have contributed to it, plus something covering his mouth. And that's what I'm trying to figure out, if something covered his mouth, whether it be your body, or you rolled over on him, pillow, or something else.
Not a pillow or blanket. I wouldn't do that. Like that, excuse my language. That, what's it called? When after women give birth and they suffocate their children.
You mean the kind of depression?
No, not postpartum. It's called something. Like when after women give birth, when they were throwing them in the dumpster or something.
Mm.
You mean something like that? Like purposely killing my son? No. Excuse my language. No. I wouldn't do that.
Okay. I don't think you would do that. But in your state of mind, did you do that?
No, sir.
Because that's the underlying question,
Right.
right? You know, with the way you reacted to us and kind of didn't want to talk to us and
Really?
what?
When I didn't want to talk and gave that impression?
No, not necessarily. I'm just saying the question could be raised, was that why?
Right.
I mean, the way I've treated you, do you think I came across that way? But I have to ask the tough questions.
No.
Right? And
I've been nice.
And I'm looking at this, and I will tell you that I don't know that the shorts could do it by itself. I don't believe the shorts did it by itself. I think there was something else, and it could be in your state of mind of being afraid to keep him or put him up and being confused, or was it an accident where you rolled over? Was it an accident where you placed something? Those are the things we got to figure out together. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry, I keep saying that.
No. And you've talked about this with me, and I appreciate you being open with me. I think there are pieces that, as we go through, you start to remember more, and you've given me more open with me, and I appreciate that. Like I said, I really, as I sit here with you, compared to the other times, I think you're much stronger. Like I said, I really just need to understand. I'd like to understand more about what happened.
For well over an hour, he has expertly played the role of a warm, sympathetic listener. He patiently allowed her to rule out every single accidental scenario herself by letting her systematically eliminate every natural explanation. She has unwittingly destroyed her own defense. The time for sympathy is over. He drops the friendly act to strike the final blow.
Because at the top of the report, when the ME writes a report, it comes across and there's what they call cause of death, asphyxia, and then the manner of death is homicide.
What?
And then the way it's written is because there was no action taken is considered homicide. It can be that because the not taking action had we called.
They put on a report I killed myself.
That's not what homicide means. Homicide is the overall death of another person, death of another human being. But we have to understand what happened.
The trap snaps shut. Bianca fully expected to walk out of the station doors as a grieving mother who simply made a tragic mistake. But then he drops the word homicide. In a single breath, her entire carefully constructed defense crumbles to dust.
Everybody's gone for the day. There's others.
There's someone in the interview like on
TV?
Yeah, it's like everyone's.
There's people, there's a sergeant's office back there on the other side of the building, and then there's a report writing room where the deputies come in and out. It's actually bigger than it looks from the outside.
You know, I used to meet here, and my mom would drop us off for the day to see my father. So, you're saying he died from, you know, obviously something hit him.
Yes.
I mean, you want me to give you the answer?
Well,
Like
you were
what
the
you
only
think
one.
I think it is?
Yeah, tell me. I mean, you were there. Where do you, when I say that he's suffocated, I want to know what you think happened. Because you were there, based on what you know, based on what you felt.
Honestly, from me putting a blanket over him to more than I think him being in my boxers. Because they were, you know, small on me. But the way he was next to me, you know, literally right next to me. Could have been the boxers or something.
Well, when did you put the blanket on?
When I went to get up to take a shower.
And he'd already stopped crying by then?
Yes. So, he would have been crying the whole time, is what you're saying, when he was alive?
I mean, sometimes they could fall asleep, or, you know, babies do fall asleep too, because they get, you know, they wear themselves out, but, so I don't know, I wasn't, you know, but.
The boxers.
Was he moving when you took him and put him next to you?
No, he was crying when he was down.
Did he feel kind of limp or together, or how, you know, you were moving him around, how did you feel?
When he was below me, when I was giving birth, I had the blanket over myself. It's a big, like, red, fuzzy blanket.
The fake confusion evaporates instantly. The medical mystery excuse is dead on arrival. Cornered, she immediately scrambles to shift the blame. This time she points the finger at the heavy red blanket, an inanimate object taking the fall for a mother's fatal actions.
So he was crying when he came out?
Yes, sir.
And then, when did he stop crying?
Before I had picked him up. Confused, and I wasn't comprehending. I just gave birth to my son.
Right. So were both legs still in your shorts at that time?
Yes.
And the red fuzzy blanket was over top?
He was in my boxers.
Okay. And how long did he cry for about 10 minutes while he was down there?
Yes.
And so then what happened next? The way you told me?
Yes, sir.
But he wasn't crying anymore.
The blanket over him.
Did you know that he was not breathing when you moved him on your hip?
No.
When you moved the blanket, did you see where he was laying, how he was laying?
Curled up in a ball. And he was down below. He was kind of like something.
He was like that in your shorts? And where did the shorts, which leg was he in? He was on this leg, this side? Your right leg?
His head was poking.
So I can see him. He's trying to squeeze. Here you go. Here you go. Just because the pain was there.
His head was...
No, it's good.
His head was poking out this leg.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like cut off.
Even as her entire story collapses around her, she adamantly refuses to take full accountability. She quietly utters the words, "I killed him." But in the very next breath, she pivots back to playing dumb. A fleeting moment of honesty, swallowed by a notion of deceit.
I wasn't sure what happened because I wasn't there. And then once I felt out that he's asphyxiated, it could be a lot of things. And I was worried that some of the grief was not just because you lost a son, but because maybe you did something to hurt him. You know, that happens sometimes, and it's not because people are evil or because people are mean or nasty people. It's because they might be scared or nervous, or young.
I still do it. Well, I do believe in, reacting out of anger or something, but I couldn't.
Did you know that if you kept him there that he would not be able to breathe? Did you know that not calling wouldn't be a good thing? Did you think about that? Calling for an ambulance? Emergency rescue? Cool.
I don't recall anyone, I just said things.
Okay. Can you think of anything else to tell me? And I gotta ask you a couple of straight, hard questions, okay? Did you son Bianca? Did you suffocate? Did you do those things to him?
She desperately needs the detective to view this as a tragic mistake made by a scared little girl. But investigators see straight through the theatrical tears. The timeline is permanently locked. The medical examiner has officially ruled it a homicide. The detective has absolutely everything he needs. And what Bianca does not yet realize is that her legal nightmare is only just beginning.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good, sir. How can I help you?
Good. My name's Brian. I'm with the sheriff's office.
Yes, sir.
I have some paperwork to drop off to Bianca. If you could just ask her to come to the door, please.
Yes, sir, I can.
Is she upstairs, downstairs?
She's upstairs. Would you like to go up and get her yourself?
So she's got a warrant for her arrest, just so you know. Okay.
I was not aware of that. Pardon my language. You want to go get her?
Here, let me just explain it to you. It's okay. So here's the
Let
situation.
me sit down because
You can sit down. It's okay. Here's the situation.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure you kind of are somewhat aware of what was going on earlier in the year. Okay. And they filed an arrest warrant with the state attorney's office, and the judge signed it. So I'm trying to just do this peacefully and easy.
I understand. Let me.
Who else is inside the
My
house?
son is upstairs, but let me go in and let him know because he will get very upset. You won't have any trouble with him.
Mm-hmm.
I will manage that.
Mm-hmm.
I will ask her to come down here.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you taking her?
She's going to the Palm Beach County main jail,
Okay.
and then she's gonna have to see the judge in the morning.
Okay.
So, hold on one second. Okay?
Yes, sir.
You're sure she's upstairs right now?
Yes, sir, I'm 100% positive. I just spoke with her about 30 minutes ago.
Okay. If she doesn't want to listen or he doesn't want to listen, and she doesn't want to come down, then I just need you to walk back down the stairs
Yes,
and
sir.
come out to me. But
I know that she's not dressed, so can you give me at least 10 minutes so that she can get dressed?
Months after that grueling interrogation, police finally arrive at her boyfriend's house to take her into custody. But despite the absolute severity of a homicide warrant, her family treats the arriving officers like a minor neighborhood inconvenience, a final display of the stunning apathy that defined this case from day one.
Can you please shut the door, sir? My dog will run out, sir.
You can come down here first.
So we have a way of doing things. That's why we're explaining it to you the way that we are. You have an arrest warrant. Okay, it's regarding the incident that the detectives already talked to you about. Okay, I think about 2 months ago. Okay, So that's what the situation is. You have an arrest warrant. You have to come with us tonight. You're going to see a judge in the morning. It's Detective Derogatis.
Regarding my child?
Yep. And you have an arrest warrant. It's a manslaughter warrant. So that's what the situation is.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Her genuinely shocked response speaks volumes. For months, she clung to the hope that her bizarre claims of amnesia and invisible medical emergencies would keep her out of a prison cell. But the undeniable reality of her actions has finally caught up to her. She was officially charged with manslaughter for the death of her son. Little Aries was a full person who deserved a chance at a long, happy life. He had a future, he had potential, but his life was cut tragically short by the exact person who was biologically wired to protect him. Justice is a slow process, but it